Because all the issues the mainstream political parties are talking about are issues. It's hard for me to talk about race because I was born in a country where I could go to school with a white kid. It's hard for me to talk about land because I was born without it. I don't know anyone with it who's in my generation. It's hard for me to even talk about money because I don't know anyone with money in their bank account. So the issues we really want to talk about is how do we set up our new businesses? How do we go into entrepreneurship? How do we take our ideas and bring them to reality? But no one is talking about this because simply those issues are not their issues. They want to talk about who should have power. They're so stuck on who should have power, not talk about who should take over. Not what do they want to do when they take over, but who should take over. Personality politics. And I just felt as if there is nothing speaking to us. The young people I was with felt there was nothing speaking to them. So we said we must chart our own course because the numbers are on our side. 78% of the country is 8 under 35 today. In the next election, 4.2 million people are 8 under the age of 40 who are eligible to vote.
You are popular with young people.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of young people who like you. Why do you think young people like you?
I think because I'm one of them. It's very simple. Young people like me because I like them. Because I actually talk to them. Women like me too because I'm charming, I'm good looking. Girls like good looking guys. And I got a pretty big kahuna, Girls like big kahunas.
We know that. We know that.
Can you tell us the history? Like briefly. Where you went to school, your journey until this point.
Why Lumumba?
In brief.
So I was born Lumumba William Jerome Tumande too. At least when I was born, a single mother. I didn't know my father then when I was born. I know him now. And we were. I hate that I had. Now when I talk about being born in airport, I speak about like I was born in a poor place. Because to me, I wasn't born in a poor place. I was just born in airport. It was a squatter camp where we all lived the way everybody lived. There was not. I didn't know much better until as I got older. My mother used to work as a houseworker down the road, close to the airport in a place called Hatchfield. She's worked for a white man, and this man, his name was Mr. Willard. He used to produce, I don't know if you guys remember Willard Spuds, crisps. And that's the house I started to realize, okay, so things might be a little different. I might not be as normal as the other kids because it seems people go to school. It seems, people sleep on beds. It seems there is running water. It seems people actually have actual addresses. And I learned how to read and how to write from Mr. Willard's house, not from school. I would sit in his study literally daily and just watch him make transactions. Watch him make phone calls, talk to people and talk to politicians, mayors. Things were moving and it was very busy. And that's when I decided I wanted to be able to do what he was doing. To be able to pick up the phone and call anybody and ask them to do something for me. Because to me it looked like you could call anybody. I almost was convinced you could call the president. Went to primary school at Hatfield Primary School and just really worked my ass off. I was just always that kid who was going to outwork everybody in class because I believed you might have more money than me, you might come from a better family than mine, but hard work is a choice. You can't outwork me under any circumstances. I will beat you every time. Me, airport is not, it's home. Everyone else looks at it and it's a statistic. Airport has no addresses. Airport has no electricity. It's got no water. You drink from the same water that you excrete in. But to me, I see people who need me to be able to do what I'm doing. In fact, joining ZANU-PF for me was to find the tools and instruments to save them. Leaving ZANU-PF was because that promise was broken. So growing up secondary school, I was a scholarship baby. I spent my high school education at Prince Edward, where for people who know Prince Edward is very big on scholarships. I got scholarships all my time at Prince Edward because again I was always the guy who was going to outwork everybody. When I left Prince Edward, I got a scholarship to go and study in Europe. I went and studied in Europe. Again, always willing to outwork everybody. But the difference now is when I got to Europe, I realized I could make money. That hard work didn't mean results in class. Hard work meant I could actually get paid. I remember I got my first job. Well, my first formal job. I used to sell newspapers and drive taxis. But my first formal job when I was 18. And how I got the job, I wrote a letter. It was, if you go into London, there's a building called Centre Point. It's like one of the tallest buildings in London. So I always used to go past there and I'd see this very rich-looking white guy. His name was David Warren, who parked his nice Aston Martin. Aston Martin was the car then, right by the entrance. So one day, I went to him and I offered to, just carry his bag, wash his car, whatever it is needed to be done. And he thought I was absolutely crazy. And I did this over and over and over again, and he kept telling me to go away. So one day, so they built this very special basement parking at Center Point, and then he said, okay, look, you're not going to be seeing me anymore, but why don't you send me a CV? I didn't even know what a CV was. But I remember I wrote a letter and I said, hi, my name is Acie Lumumba. Because I thought this is how you write a CV. I'm going to work for you for 3 months. In those 3 months, I will pay you whatever you want me to pay you. But after those 3 months, you must pay me double whatever I paid you. So I'm ready to start from tomorrow. Call me. And then, of course, this was a crazy idea. But the question was, so how do I get this letter to him? This man is no longer parking his car where he used to park his car. And I remember that's the first time I ever got arrested. Because I went into, this is just, 2011 and 9/11 had gone past, and everyone was, it's sensitive with terrorism attacks. So imagine going into one of the most secure buildings in London and trying to deliver a letter, and I'm not looking the sharpest. And I literally jumped, those little gates, went upstairs, got to his office, got arrested, got taken to the police. But when I got out, I had a phone call, I had a voicemail on my phone, because my phone number was on the letter. And he said, I think you're crazy, but come in. And this is the man who gave me my first ever shot. So that's how I learned how to make money. And I started realizing, okay, so I can make money at this. So study, make money, and be able to start sending money back home and save up for my returning back home. When I decided to go back to Zimbabwe, for being in the diaspora, for me, like I think it is for many people, was never a permanent relocation. It was always, I want to go and acquire a certain set of skills that can allow me to go back home and take care of the problems I left back home. So when I came back home, I came to election season around 2008. It was the first time I came back, and all elections, and there were really two options for a young person to look at. There was MDC and there was ZANU-PF. And I said, okay, who you blast with MDC for money patriots? Yeah, red. No more than I'm not trying to as well. Who about for money side in the motor and telling the motor? Who you blast behind the plan? Because this guy, and you imagine I'm coming from the city of London, right? Where there's a certain optic fabrication he puts in front of your eyes. So I'm looking at this guy with all the cars and with all the I'm like, this guy has got a better chance of doing anything than this guy. So you know what I mean? Why on earth would I join this guy? Because we are only nudes, more kids are only nudes. So I got it at a very grassroots level. Call it being an amateur. I was very interested. I didn't join ZANU-PF, but I was very interested in more, and I was paying more attention to them. As life would have it, I would then meet people who were in ZANU-PF. And then as I started working for government, I was only, you must understand, I worked for government straight into the GNU for a minister, a ZANU-PF minister, Xavier Kasukwere. So I was only exposed to ZANU-PF politics. And I was evaluating, do I join ZANU-PF or do I join MDC? Now, what does MDC stand for? Till today, I don't know.
Sorry, what year was that?
This is now 2010. So do I join ZANU-PF or do I join MDC? MDC to me stood for removing Robert Mugabe. That's like its thing. Let's get rid of Mugabe. ZANU-PF actually stood for indigenization, empowerment, and employment. It just didn't do it. But that's, if you say, give me your paper, that's what the ideology or that's what it's preaching. So I believed that promise. And maybe it's naivety. The same naivety a girl has, I believed in the promise. I'm like, I like this guy. And I worked with Xavier Kasukwere, who, contrary to what you all think of him, most of you have never met him, he is actually one of the hardest working ZANU-PF ministers there is. That man is a really hard worker. So I'm like, I can mess with this guy. So when it came time for me to make a decision, like all of you have to make a decision, I decided to join ZANU-PF. When I joined, I didn't like staying at the bottom. So I joined at cell level. I didn't like staying at cell level. I didn't even like the youth wing. I refused to join the youth wing. I joined the main wing. And I rose up the ranks of the main wing until I was number 6 in the Harare province of the main wing. Nobody has ever done that. And I didn't, no, you don't get awarded positions in ZANU-PF, but contrary to what people think. You actually get voted for in ZANU-PF. Do you rig elections? Yes. But you have to rig better than everybody else. So I had to learn how to rig better than everybody else, and I did. I was the best rigger in the business. I did everything that you shouldn't be doing in politics, and this is why I'm not running for political office, because I realized I have done things that I highly regret. Not corrupt. Every time people say I'm corrupt, I'm like, hey, I didn't put together the wrong things. I wasn't corrupt. I was other things. Okay, I am responsible for houses that have burnt. I'm responsible for families that have been torn apart. I am actually responsible for that. And I understand I have to get retribution for that. I have to say sorry for that, but I can't imprison myself forever for it. At some point, I've got to move on. At some point, I have to say, okay, I left the party because I realized it was the wrong thing to do. I had the choice to stay, but I left because at some point, your conscience really starts messing with you, right? Because you start going to sleep and I think, okay, so I am the youth leader, but do you understand? I've just asked people to go and burn the house. Like, I don't know if there were children in the house. I don't know if there was a mother, if there was a father. I just know somewhere from the top came an instruction that that house gotta go, and that house went down. So because of that, I have said it over and over and over again, Lumumba is not running for political office. But while I'm not running for political office, you can't take away in our generation, I'm the only one with the passcode. I'm the only one who knows how it's done. So I have to now say, okay, so come the German, perhaps you should be in politics, but you have no idea how to even begin building structures. You have no idea what, if you wanted to go and run for MP today, you have no idea unotangira papi. Well, constituents are doing I know that. So let me pave the way so that upinde mu matrix. Wapinda, you going to do the right job. That's how I redeem myself. Viva Zimbabwe is a place of redemption for me, where I can redeem myself to say, I messed up. Let me give those in my generation who ought to be in government, who maybe don't have the dirty hands I have, but they don't know how to get in. Let me go into Wisre passcode. Napisre passcode, no Buddha, no Pinda.
There are three questions I have. The first question is, what did you study in the UK? The second question is about Minister Kasukuere. I just want a bit more information on your relationship and why it broke down. And then, obviously, the third one is regarding your current status. You are someone who is almost an unknown quantity. And I've heard calls right now, people asking me, ask for us. Is a ZANU-PF plan a secret agent how to destabilize the opposition?
Okay, so first question, what did I study in the UK particularly?
Yes.
I started my economics and public administration program, which I couldn't finish at the university there because I couldn't afford to finish it. Everything else I learned, I'm self-taught. I have mastered probably anything you could have mastered in an economics class in a university. I just couldn't afford to stay in one. As far as my relationship with Xavier Kasukuere and where it broke down, I know people want to hear me say it broke down, except it didn't. I don't know. I don't really know how to deal with that. Xavier Kasukuere is still where he was. I'm still where I am. We don't talk as much as we used to. We again love. I think we both love the country. We just love it in very different ways. He has a very different version of how the country should be run. I have a very different version of how the country should be run. I cannot take away that this is the man who taught me most of what I know about politics. You know, he might be a beast to most people, but to me, had he not brought me in to even give me a chance of learning about politics, I wouldn't know anything. So I wish him the best in his life. We're now in different political parties. I look forward to the day when we can contest in an election and I can beat him in an election. I plan on beating Xavier Kasukuere in an election. But do I have bad blood with him? No. Let God judge him. That's not my case. And as far as am I a ZANU-PF agent, I don't know what that is. Every time I hear them, people say, like what? I'm not allowed to think by myself. I don't have any ideas of my own. Are we all a homogeneous entity that if you have been in ZANU-PF, then you have no ideas? So if you leave ZANU-PF, then you are still ZANU-PF, even if you say I don't want to. Even if you say fuck you to the president, then you're still in ZANU-PF. Then because I'm supposed to destabilize the opposition, am I that powerful? Me, a whole Lumumba can destabilize the opposition. I must be really good then, right? But if my job is to destabilize the opposition, so my job is to destabilize the opposition because I do want to get rid of the opposition. I also want to get rid of ZANU-PF. I want in. ZANU-PF is the heavyweight champion of the world. Robert Mugabe is the heavyweight champion of the world. Say what you like, the man has outclassed everybody who's come in his path. I want to take him out. So if you want to take out the heavyweight champion of the world, when you get into the ring and you get punched, you're surprised. What were you expecting? Kisses? So you never hear me complaining about, I've been arrested, I've been beaten up, because that's the game. I do the same things. So you never hear me, that's why I don't roll with activists that much, because I understand the game, man, and I play the game. I want to take them out as badly as they want to take me out. Robert Mugabe can and will lose the next election. It's that simple. And we will replace him.